stop activity, return to stillness, and that stillness will be even more active. So we have this structure which is symmetrical. But if it's alive, then it's like the two hands will just start sort of contending with each other. So the balance that we're looking at and looking for is always, it's always two sides resisting each other in a way. So there's a sense here that my hands are sort of pushing into each other a little bit. They're trying to twist against the other one. So there's a lot of activity. It's quite high energy. So we don't want our peace and our stillness and our quietude to be low energy. There's something going on. And what we're aiming for is that the activity which is happening in the hands here gets into the body, especially around the spine, down into the sacrum in the dantian. So the whole body feels like it's a little bit wriggly. And just link the fingers together and just grip. The contention is a pulling apart. True peace lies in finding the true war. And then just bring it back into prayer. And again, just keep that movement going. And then just back into the fingers, the arms pulling apart. So this is something that John got from Dr. Panizzi, his teacher, who was half Icelandic and half French-Italian. So apparently everything that he did, he would try and create resistance to, if only in his mind. Back into prayer. And then just start the head going. Feel the muscles as being elastic. So as I tighten the muscle one side to pull the head round, the muscle the other side gets stretched, and then that muscle pulls back. I want to feel the continuity between the two actions, the left and the right. there's no stop and start. And then just go into the pulling with the fingers, but keep the head going. And now let's just try twisting the body. So one hand behind the back, so the fingers sort of poke out here. So just round as far as you can, and then this hand on the knee, and then just use a count of 3 or 4 to get round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just try reaching now, just to get alternate stretches. So just reaching up as high as you can, and then pull down. So just imagine resistance. Imagine that it's quite difficult to pull. So you're having to kick in the belly muscles to help the pulling down with the hand. So the back muscles work to get the extension, and then the belly muscles work to get the contraction and the pull down. And then reaching forwards. It's the hand pulling in that starts, and at the end of that, the other hand goes out. So the yielding always starts the action. to the side. And then just the hands up and out. So just tilting down until you touch the floor. And just feel the activity. So the hand is sort of rummaging on the floor. So imagine you're on sand and the hand is trying to just dig into the sand a bit by twisting and turning a little bit. So it's contending with whatever it touches. And then the other side. So there has to be a certain activity in the hand to stimulate the exchange between the hand and the ground. So this is what we want to feel. Pushing into the ground so that the ground will extend its hardness, its cool hardness up into my body, into my skeleton. Feel that extension as you push into the ground with the hand, it pushes up into the upper hand. Inclining forwards and just placing the hands working them a little bit against each other. Trying to get that activity, that movement up the arms, across the shoulders and into the spine. And if you can manage it up into the skull. And just turn to the side, and the same thing at the side here. Just like the body, especially the skeleton, to just break into its component parts and more. So we'd like the skull, the cranial plates in the skull to be loose. They're always moving against each other. And then we're out to the other side. back up. Just try some of the breathing. Getting the belly and the back working as a system. So pulling the belly in, tightening the back, pulling the belly in, tightening the back. The belly, which is the agonist, and the back, which is the antagonist, bind together in this ring muscle, this one ring muscle, which is a composite of front and back. Elastic. As one muscle contracts, the other one is stretched. And it's the stretching one that starts the pulling back. Here, my back muscles are stretching and then they pull because they've got no choice. Here, my belly muscles are stretching and they have to then pull in. Let it rest a bit. So the sacrum and its surrounding bones are sort of opening up. using the elbows, just push your knees out as far as they'll go, and then using the knees, push the elbows in and then out and in. And then just hands on the floor. Feel the contention. Your hands are so different from the floor that they're touching. There's bound to be activity. So how do you use the internal muscles to pump energy up from the ground and into your skeleton? And then just stretch out the leg. and then just put your fingertips underneath your big toes and just straighten up. And then squat back down again. So the hands stay with the feet. When you come up, just get to the point where you're really stretching the hamstrings, and then just squat down again. Again, there's a contention going on between your toes and your fingers. So here my fingers are trying to pull my big toes off the ground. And then here the big toes are pushing into the fingers to pull me down. So you want to feel as though the action is starting in that battle that's going on between your feet and your hands. And then just back down. So we're not really leaning, not that much anyway. We're more just working the wall with the hands at the same time that you're working the ground with your feet. So you're sort of off the heels. You're just trying to get some activity close to the spine, from the legs up into the sacrum, from the arms up into the mid-spine, up into the brain, into the cranium. So like the opening mouth, the mouth opens in order to take something in. That's all the time. That's like the yielding. The yielding is sort of this, at the opening up in order to swallow. This sense here that the leg, especially this point here, are involved, the same as the arm, in order to open this space here. So my leg opens up, and that starts the moving into the foot. So it's not just a sort of low energy pull, it's a real opening wide. So it's high energy. Same if you saw someone with their mouth really wide open. Generally either be screaming or shouting. So a lot of energy. We want to feel these points here. They're like the mouth. You know, if you're going to open your mouth, it would be your mouth that you would be opening. It would be the center where your mind is. My mind is in the center of the mouth. It's the same here. So my mind isn't in my foot. It's here. That opens, and the leg curves into this grab, but it starts here. So something opens. So this is the hollowing chest. This is the action of your spirit that catches the other person's spirit. The way we work demands an intensity from our own spirit, which throws us into like a heightened awareness. You're bristling with readiness. The readiness to accept the pain, if nothing else. Feel the two parts of sinking. So the bending the legs to get the dantian close to the ground, but then also this feeling of the upper body really packing down into this area in order to get rid of any lordosis in the lower back. Even if you've got a little bit of curvature in the lower back, it will basically create a separation between the legs and the upper body. So we just want that to really pack down, like my shoulders are just disappearing into my hips. And then you just become very much one unit. So we're unifying upper and lower body, and we're splitting left and right. For most people, their two sides of their body are almost locked together, and they have a real separation here. We're just trying to get the opposite. From my feet all the way to my head, it's just one thing. And the center is here. So where the break would normally be, that's where we put our center. And it just really binds the two parts together. And then the two sides can just start working. Just working again like we did when we were sitting down doing the breathing. Working the belly muscles and then working the back muscles, just to help the legs and the upper body really meld together. So one of the things that's very difficult is getting a sense of the hamstrings. So here, this is like my quads are working. So I feel it here. I feel the extension in my spine coming from the power in these legs, the front of the legs. But then when I pull in here, I want to just switch to the back of the leg, back of the thigh, and just feel that muscle active. And now here, this is the quad. This goes into the back of the thigh, the hamstring. Want to make sure that when we do this phase, the pulling in phase, we really do sink down. Feel like your legs are pumping. The legs are just pumping energy out of the ground and up like a water pump. Going down now. Touch the ground and then back up. So here, like you're just bringing energy up from the ground. So you go down, as the arms go down, they're pushing my knees out. I just touch the ground, the real sense of earthing. And then I come up and the hands bring some energy with them. And I can pack that into my dantian then. Now, when you come up, try to get the action starting in the lower back. Don't straighten the legs too soon. And then just back to riding horse. So now what we want to do is just feel the real difference between the front of the foot, the toes and the ball of the foot, and the heel. So you're in riding horse, so your heels are really just digging down into the ground. So there's a sense of this circulation going on in the foot, like you're going down the heel and energy's coming up the front of the foot. Come off the heels. Feel how different it is. As soon as the heels come off the ground, you effectively lose your root. And you're not connecting so much with your bony skeleton. It's more the fascia. So now put the heels down. So one goes down first and then the other. And now just feel it coming back to some settled stillness. So this is your endoskeleton, your bony skeleton. So we have the hard skeleton, the bony skeleton, but we also have the soft skeleton, which is the fascia. So as we come forwards, you lift the heels, so you come out of your bony skeleton. And now I can just feel all of this movement that we were trying to stimulate with the pressing on the wall and with the hands and on the ground. We just want to feel that possessing the body. It's like your fascial structure starts to sing or hum. Yeah, so there's all this activity going on, and your feet are quite wobbly, but you feel much more alive in your mind and your spirit. And then putting the one heel down and then the other. And now just settle back. And it is a real feeling of settling back, because you're settling back into the heel, which is the back of the foot. But also a sense that you're sort of receding into the background a little bit, because the skeleton is naturally quiet and still. Lifting the heels off. Make sure you're still sitting down. Your sacrum is still trying to hang down. Don't let it push your bum out too much. And just feel this play. The feet are sort of playing with the ground, and all the body is full of this wriggly movement. So this is the fascia, the hydrostatic skeleton. So it's more like the skeleton that an animal that doesn't have bones, like an earthworm or an octopus or a jellyfish or a sea anemone. They still need a skeleton, but it's a skeleton that's produced by the equilibrium between the cells. And that's always got this slippage in it. It can slip and slide. And the main muscular action is peristalsis. Like an earthworm moves through peristalsis. This is how we want to feel our muscles working. So it's no longer lever action. It's much more like this pumping, pulsing series of clenches, of contractions. So now the heels are down. So in the background, you have that skeletal solidity and stillness, but it's an endoskeleton. It's inside the body, so it's clad in flesh. And so this fascial movement surrounds that skeletal stillness. We just want to feel that there's all this sort of fizziness, activity. Deep within that, you can feel this core of cool, hard strength. And it's up to you which one you hook into with the mind. Now let's just try just turning now. Slowly try to feel the activity shifting from your skeleton to your fascia. So if I'm using my skeleton, then basically that's when we push with the leg. This leg straightens to push me round. This leg straightens to push me round. That would be my skeleton, my muscles working my skeleton. So when we pull with the leg, that's more like the fascia. It's more like this surrounding fabric that surrounds the bones. So here I'm producing a container. I'm with the container rather than the contained. And it's that that's pulling me round. So here we want to try and feel the hamstring kicking in. I come forwards because this muscle here is bending my leg. I just put my hand on it so I can feel if it gets hard. If it gets hard, it just means it's tensed up and it's working. And then put the hand here. So here, this one's more difficult, the back leg. I'm pulling with this muscle to pull myself into the leg, but also I'm pushing the ground with this leg. And I'm pushing it not really to move the body, but more to get this muscle tight. So when I push with the quad here, I want to keep tone in this muscle, in the hamstring, so that it can really tighten. And then when it gets to the limit of its tightness, its elastic tightness, it will naturally start pulling back. And I just let that happen. And then I push the ground here, largely to stretch the hamstring, and then the hamstring will pull back. So it's exactly the same as when we were sitting down doing this exercise. When you get this exercise really heaving, then the muscles operate together like a ring muscle. This is what we want to do. We want to join the agonist and the antagonist up into like a ring muscle. So it's just one lot of muscle around the bone. So here it's the hamstring kicking in, and then this hamstring kicks in, this muscle tightens to straighten the leg, which stretches this hamstring, and then that pulls. So when the leg straightens, that's a bit like opening the mouth. And then when this muscle kicks in, that's like the mouth beginning to close around the morsel. There's difficulties, but it's only because we're just not used to it. What we want to feel, if we can, is the activity in the hamstring linked to the activity in the belly. So when I tighten this muscle here to pull myself forwards, it's really been activated by a tightening here. So here and here are joined, and here are joined. And it's difficult in the back leg. I really have to straighten the back leg to kick in the pulling of the hamstring. Activating the hamstring really requires spirit. So it's not just a spirit that activates your energy and your muscle. It's a spirit that captures, because it's like it's opened, something has gone out, and then suddenly you just do this, you just bring everything in. Activating the hamstring. So the hamstring, they call it the leg bicep, because it's basically the muscle that does this. It's this muscle here. And then this is like the muscle the other side that straightens the arm or straightens the leg. So it's got a feeling similar to the bicep. You know, when you do bicep curls, it's like, you know, everything curls up. It's the same here. This is curling up. This is curling up. The legs become much more like arms. Feel the link between the belly and the hamstring. If that breaks, then that is basically the separation between lower body and upper body. It's when the legs no longer knit into your midriff. Now let's just try activating the hamstrings. So just lift the heel. So 1, 2, and 3, really pulling it up. And then the other. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep the belly linked to the hamstring. So you don't want this action here to pull your bum out, do this to your back. So you have to keep tone in the belly as you tighten your hamstring. Otherwise, you'll compromise your lower back. And now just stretching the quad. The heel should really be able to dig into the buttock. Again, just keep tone in the belly so that it doesn't pull your bum out. And then the other side. So you're trying to drive the knee downwards, vertically downwards, the same time that you're pulling your heel into your buttock. So the foot is going up and the knee is going down. So if the quadricep is not loose, then the hamstring can't work properly, and vice versa. If the hamstrings are tight, then the quads can't work properly. So the agonist and the antagonist have to really be able to relax and stretch. Hold it long enough to be able to relax into it and register how it makes you feel. Lifting the foot into the groin, just like if you were sitting cross-legged. Try and just settle into the outside edge. Relax around the sacrum. Belly pulled in. Big toe really pressing down into the ground to keep me in the outside edge. And then just pulling the knee up. You want the pull up of the leg to really pull into the lower back. So it's affecting the sacrum and the tail and the lumbar spine. And now let's just try this one where we step out to the side. I'm creating a circle with the foot. So I drag it up to my knee, and then I send it out and down, and then I try and pull it towards the other foot, and that moves me across, and then this foot drags up. So like we've got similar delicacy that we would have in the arm and the hand, in the leg and the foot. So I effectively have to move in this direction to balance the leg going out. That's the tricky bit. We just do it naturally with the arm. So the temptation is to be with the leg that's reaching, but it's not really all. I'm moving in this direction. So as well as not sinking enough, I find, is that not stepping long enough. So in order to step long, it's not enough simply to just place the foot. It's the same if you're going to reach. If I'm really going to reach for something, just a bit too far for me to reach it, then I turn this way to get added extension to the arm. My head turns away from the arm so that the arm is just a little bit longer. So it's the same with the foot. I pick up the foot and I step, but then here I have to turn in this direction to get just that centimeter extra. And then I have a longer stance, which is important, I think. just like we've just been doing really, but now it's just stepping forward. So lifting the foot up, stepping out, and now just really turn this way in order to reach with that heel and then draw yourself round into a push. And now with the other one, so just lifting up, reach, and now I really turn this way, so it's difficult. A lot of the postures, don't they, like brush knee and push, one arm is stuck out the side, the opposite to the leg that's going to step. And I think that is like the counterweight for this reaching of the leg. This side again, just lifting the foot, reach out and turn, sink, heel goes down, and then I draw myself round. And then there's like a decent push. So you can just have like half a mind to this when you're doing the form. Just trying to get just a centimetre, a little centimetre longer, without being too compromised, without being too double weighted when you put the foot down. I have to sink, but I also have to turn to get the heel down, and then I can come round. Bring it back home. Knees out, toes in, elbows out, hands in, ears out, eyes in. So all three sets of limbs are doing the same thing. Mind in Danshan. Your quiet mind. So let's just do a little bit of the of that mantra of John's. Relax the mind, open the heart, free the spirit. Relax the mind, open the heart, free the spirit. Relax the mind, open the heart, free the spirit. Relax the mind, open the heart, free the spirit. Relax, open, free, relax, open, free. Each center yields. This center sucks in. This center opens and sucks in to suck the hand towards it. This center opens and sucks in to bring the hand towards it. So there's a real sense of this, of going out in order to come in. So open and swallow, open and swallow, open and swallow. Feel these three centers now, like an open mouth or a cave. The back is closed and the front is open, but closing. So the elbows going out pulls my back open, and the hands coming in stops this from happening, creates this cave and this suction. And it's the same with all the centers. Here my listening is actually expanding this, and my fixing of the eyes behind the object is bringing that in. So there's this constant circulation going on in all sets of limbs. Now let's just bring it up. Don't let yourself straighten the legs. Really feel the front of the foot. So your root through the heel, that you're using the front of the foot to gather energy from the ground all the time. Like you're doing this, like the kitten. And really feel the importance of this musculature around the dantian in binding your legs into your lumbar area. Too much strength in the quads, too much pushing down with my heel, and the bum will go out, and there's now a break here. Sacrum really loose. Tail extending down. Something extending up out of through the spine and out of the top of the head here. And this tendency to just turn all the time. The turn and the return, the figure of 8.